Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So today is a loot from 25 boss tasks, better known as the Soul Reaper task thing, where you get boss tasks from death, and you can get there by going to the Draenor Lodestone, going a little bit north into like a purple portal that's out of nowhere, and then you get a task from him. So you can get any boss tasks basically, like God Wars, Nex, QBD, KK, everything like that. But you can toggle off like KK, Nex, Virago, and Rise of the Six, which I did for most of the tasks. Like I did do one Kelphite King task, but like I don't really like doing boss like tasks that have to do with like having a team. I just want to do most of it solo, so I turned that off like midway through. So you won't see that much like KK and Nex, but I'm not gonna go like into the tasks like individually, because there was 25 that would take way too long. So I'm gonna go through the tasks that I got something. So here we go. So the first task that I got was a Legions task. So that's the Ascension Bosses. And the thing with this task is you lose money, because I spent 4.6 mil on keys and I only got like 1.5 mil in loot. So right there it's already 3 mil loss, but I'm gonna have like a calculation later in the video of how much I used in terms of supplies, including the Ascension keys that I had to buy for these. In terms of this task, I did get 2 starting skills, so that's pretty cool. Nothing special, but I mean, skills are pretty cool to get, so I might as well share it. And then a few tasks later, I got a Fight Kiln task, and that's 1 Onyx right away. So there you go. And then after that, I went to Barrows, I think 2 tasks later, so 2 days later basically, because I did one of these per day. If you didn't know, you only can get 1 per day, unless you buy like a reward that gives you 1 more a day basically. But I went to the Barrows, like the regular Barrows, and I actually got 3 items in 6 chests. And one of them being the one item that I like had to hunt for the entire series on my Barrow series, and that was actually my first chest. I got an Aram's book, and then I also got an Aram's, not an Aram's, I got a Akrasai War Mace, which you guys know I hate that item. And then I also got a Carol's Top. So yeah, Barrows was pretty nice to me that day. And then a few days later, I got General Gerard, which is a Bandos task. And I got a hilt pretty early on in that task, so that was pretty cool. I mean, it was only like 450k at the time, but I mean, I think it is like 300k when I sell it here. So it kind of sucks that it went down, but I mean, it's a really cheap item nonetheless, so it doesn't really bother me that it went down. But it was cool to get, because I never have luck at like God Wars like myself. Like on my loot videos that I do for God Wars, we get a lot of loot, but that's because Zombie is extremely lucky, and I'm just not when it comes to God Wars. But moving on, almost a week later, so like 6 or 7 tasks later, I got a Saradomin God Wars task, and I actually got a shard. Obviously, that's not too special, but I just want to tell you guys. And I also got an effigy, so that was pretty cool. I usually don't get effigies, and I got one there, so that's pretty cool. It was only like 11 kills. Quite surprised that I did get an effigy, but good farming experience. Then after that, I did do another Legions task. So that one actually, the keys went up. So I mean, I spent even more money. It was 5.2 mil, and I got less loot. I got like 800k, so that was like pure loss. Yeah, whatever. I will calculate it in the price check, so don't worry about that. And then I got another Bandos God Wars task, and I got a hilt again, so that's 2 hilts. But later in that trip, I also got a Helm, so that's pretty cool. At the time, it was like 2.2 mil, but right now it's like 1.2. So it's not, spectacular anymore, but it was still cool to get 2 drops in 10 kills at the God Wars. And then later in the week, I got a Armadale God Wars task, and that, it was like a 28 kill trip, because I did the thing where you get more monsters, but you get more points too. So it was like double the monsters, but 25% more points. So I did do that, and it was 28 Arma, so that's, that's a lot for solo, at least for me, because I don't like staying there for a few hours, but I did it. And it wasn't a few hours, obviously, but you get my point. It was dry the entire trip except the last kill. The last kill I got an Armadale hilt, so it was pretty awesome. At the time, it was like 7 mil, so I was still pretty happy about that, but it's a lot less now. It's probably around 4 mil. And then the task after that, I got Zamorak God Wars, which I got an effigy on. And that basically is it for that task. So I did skip a lot of these tasks that I didn't talk about because they didn't give any drops, and I don't think you guys would be interested. But my most common task, it seems like, is the Zamorak God Wars, Bandos God Wars, and I don't know. I think that's probably the most common out of all of them. I did get like 1 Araxor task. I got a Giant Mole task. I got QBD twice. That kind of thing. So yeah, overall, I mean, I didn't get extremely lucky in these tasks, but you gotta, I mean, granted, you don't kill that many in these tasks, so I'm still happy with the loot. 2 effigies, that's pretty awesome, honestly. And before we go into the price check, one thing is in the reward shop for 300 points, it was originally 400, but they dropped it down to 300 in an update, and that's when I could buy it. So I bought it. It was the incomplete Hydrix. So it's like the gem that makes the high-end jewelry and stuff, and you need to like add an onyx to it. So I mean, it technically should bring the onyx price up, but it actually doesn't, because, you know, fight kiln stuff is being done a lot more now because of this update, so it was kind of backwards. But either way, I did buy it on the day that they made it 300, so it was extremely expensive at the time. I sold it for a solid 24 mil, as you can see, so that will be in the price check. I know it wasn't like a direct drop from these boss tasks, but I mean, I got it directly from doing these boss tasks, so it is worth putting in here. So yeah, but let's go into the price check and see how much I actually made. I'll meet you guys there. All right, guys, here's the items for the boss tasks, and there's gonna be a lot of inventories in this because there's so many different bosses, so obviously there's a lot of different items, but this is just the first tab, and or first inventory, I guess. And this is most of my rare loot, like the first 2 rows. As you can see, I got like the Barrows items, I got the hilt, all that kind of stuff that I did discuss earlier in this video. But the one thing I do want to show you is the charms that I got. Obviously it wasn't that much, but I just want to show you that you get a lot more blue charms than anything in terms of like the bosses. That holds true for most bosses in the game that are like, you know, high-end bosses like Nex, Corp, you know, KK, Legions, that kind of stuff. I mean, blue charms are the more common charm. That's just what I wanted to show you for the charms. But as for like the inventory and stuff, I'm not going to price check them. I'm just going to go and sell them because it's not worth the extra time price checking. One thing I do want to say is that a lot of these items are really cheap because they've just been crashing ever since the double XP weekend has been announced, and people are selling their stuff so they can buy supplies, and also these items just, you know, lose their value over time. So they're not as much as like they were in the beginning of this loot video. Plus all these boss tasks did have people, you know, do these tasks, so things are going down just from, you know, more people doing the things. But let's sell the first inventory and see what I get. Alright, so I finished selling the first inventory and I got 12.3 mil, so that isn't too bad. Let's go to the next inventory. So here's the assortment of loot for the second inventory, and I know it's all over the place, but obviously a lot of these tasks are just so different, because I had like, you know, Gerard, I had like a Barrows task, I had QBD, I had all these things, so it's items from everything. So I'm not going to go into detail of everything, and let's just sell everything, see how much this one's worth. Alright, I ended up with 17.4, so I think that tab was around 5 mil. That's not too bad. Let's do the final inventory and see how much everything adds up to. Alright, this is the last inventory, and as you can see on the bottom of the inventory, I have 27 mil cash that isn't in my cash pile thing. That's the cash that I got from this series itself, like in coin drops, and the Hydrix that I sold. I think I sold it for like 23 or 24 mil. I showed you guys that clip earlier, so yeah, that's where that came from, and it was like 3 to 4 mil or so in just coin drops and stuff from like bosses. Like from the God Wars, they drop a lot of coins. And then other than that, anything that's like spectacular in this inventory is the Dwarf Weed Seeds, 57. That is going to be a lot of money. And then 24 Lance is pretty good, 10 U's, and then the runes are also a good chunk of money. So let's just sell everything and then see the final GP that I got from this loot video, and then we can discuss like how much it cost, how much time it took, and stuff like that. I'll meet you guys there. Okay, so everything's sold. Everything sold actually pretty decently. Some of them over med. So I did end up with 51.7 mil, let's say, and that's pretty good. Let me calculate like how long it took and stuff. But before that, it took roughly 10 mil in supplies. Most of that was from the Ascension keys I had to pay for to do the legions, for like the legion bosses for that task. And I didn't get like any of that money back. So it is roughly about 10 mil in supplies, mainly in the keys. Other than that, the supplies were pretty minimal. You don't really use that much supplies on a boss anymore, especially when you're only doing a few kills here and there. You don't need that much supplies to like last like an entire trip. So yeah, let me just calculate how long it took, and we'll find out the hourly per hour thing. So it's roughly 42 mil after you take out the supplies, and that's probably how I'm going to write it down on my loot video thing for the entire year. So yeah, so I finished calculating how long it took to do all these tasks, and it was roughly 10 hours for 25 tasks. So that means if I made 42 mil, that means per hour, it's 4.2 mil per hour. But without the Hydrix, it's roughly 20 mil. So without the Hydrix, it's roughly 2 mil an hour. And that's mainly because like the giant mole the Chaos Elemental, those kind of tasks, they make absolutely no money. I mean, granted, the Hydrix isn't as much as it was when I sold it, because I sold it on the day of release, or not the day of the release, like the day that they made it 300 instead of 400 points. So definitely you won't be able to make this profit anymore, but I mean, this was pretty fun. I mean, the points do add up for the Hydrix, of course, but you can also spend them on other things that might be worthwhile, like the 25% reduction in instance costs. Like, I would love to have that, so I probably will be doing more tasks just so I can get that. But either way, 4.2 mil an hour in terms of like my stats, that's pretty good. Yeah, overall I'm happy with the loot that I got. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.